Think about life as a sine wave. There are valleys and peaks, and they reflect in our mood, our thinking, our decision making, and so much more. So often are we split between two extremes. But when we understand our place in between, we take another step down the path of being true to ourselves. Sine waves tell the stories of our lives as simply as possible. There are ups and downs, but we can always find ourselves somewhere in the middle. In the face of all hardship, we still find ways to rise. The darkest places are the scariest places. The darkest places are the most beautiful places. I've been there before. We all have. I feel most alone in full rooms. You can say anything, and it all gets lost in translation. When I'm alone, I never fear being alone, because the lows are comfortable when you bask in them. But it can eat at your psyche, gnawing on everything hidden back there, salivating over your most embarrassing memories and devouring ones that once brought you joy. It cycles over and over, non-stop, like the same horror movie on repeat. You start to become it, manifesting in the subtleties. The enthusiasm fades, and you forget little things, not as hopeful about what I can be, and not as content with what I've done. It runs your patience thin. Maybe really diving into the low end will drown all this out. But I even become used to that. So I cope the only way I know how. Press play on a dark and bass-heavy song. Something that reflects how I'm feeling. Now I'm sad and being rattled by speakers. But you can't just tell people that. And even if I did, so the saying goes, you tell people who you are, but they ignore it, because they want you to be who they want you to be. A victim of circumstance? Never that. When did you stop being the hero of your story? It was the moment you questioned whether it was ever your story to begin with. It's a dark thing to become comfortable with the low end. Was I ever really there in the first place? Because it was always there. Who knows? Who cares? I know none of that was true. You've got to be careful what you accept as true, because you feel the lows a lot more deeply than the highs. I try to appreciate the mids, because they're where life really happens. A friend of mine once wrote, "Why do we rush to get nowhere? Racing against the clock of a life we don't know the end date for." We don't just need to feel busy, we genuinely believe it. A task is simply a task until it's completed. That impermanence is as beautiful as it is terrifying. Comfort is a dark thing, because it's what we're told to strive for, but we know that it's the furthest thing from truly living. It's the lie we're all taught to believe. Struggle and conflict are where balance truly reveals itself. When everything's copacetic, things may be the least urgent, but they also may be the least honest. It's hard to appreciate the highs when you're hypnotized by the lows, but the cycle will repeat itself. The real challenge is being in tune with the rhythm. I swear I've heard all of this before somewhere.